Welcome to episode 15 of Wander Out Yonder. Now, we start this fortnight in the Northern Territory. We do cross into Queensland in this episode, but we do have an announcement to make, so stick around for that. We enjoyed our stay at Territory Manor. The cafe and the bar and the restaurant were good. Most people come to Mataranka, though, for the hot springs, and there are two you can swim in, Bitter Springs being the better, as we thought, because it was more natural. The other one being Mataranka Hot Springs, you'll see in a minute, but that's a bit concrete lined, it's not quite so good.
We'll swim by. Mommy and Dad are going to see Will show. Come back here.
If you guys go swim, let's go on after.
The spring was dammed apparently by people in the Second World War, soldiers in the Second World War. They put a bit of wall down the other end which dammed it and created these little lagoons. It would have just been a stream or a creek before then, so it's not entirely natural. There's a very slight current that just pushes us down back towards those steps down there, past there, and then it gets narrower, and then there are more steps and a ladder to get out at the far side, and you just walk back, get back in and go again. The noodles are great because it allows you to just float. You don't have to do too much effort into staying afloat.
the Never Never Museum in Mataranka, another one of those really nice small regional museums that we've seen all over. It kind of feels like Mataranka was the place of big dreams that didn't quite pull them off. There was supposed to be, it was part of a scheme to create a North Australian railway south from Darwin, but it never got as far as Mataranka. Mataranka was also supposed to be the territory's capital, and it never became that. But it was a place that was very important for three big expeditions that crossed the Northern Territory that Rob and I have come across these names before, of Leichhardt and Gregory and Stewart. And probably most interesting for me is the story of the fact that Never Never, We of the Never Never novel set in 1903, I think it is based on Jeannie Gunn's, the author's, life in Mataranka at that time at the station of Elsie. And that's Jeannie Gunn. It was turned into a film in 1982. I think I've read the book, I'm not sure, but now I've actually been to the places and we're going to go and have a look at the Elsie homestead. I definitely want to reread that book. Difficult place to live, North Territory, that's for sure, but yeah, this is an interesting town.
So the beginning of this trip, the itinerary was to go into Northern Territory from Western Australia, from Northern Territory to enter Queensland, go all the way across the top end to Cairns, spend a little bit of time up and down that sort of tropical coast of Queensland. Helen booked a flight from Cairns back to Perth at the end of August, beginning of September for a week, because she needed to go and do some stuff over there. Then we were going to work our way back across Queensland, back into Northern Territory, into South Australia, and then home to WA in December. Well, long story short, the COVID situation in Queensland is very uncertain. We've decided not to do the Queensland leg, which is a big disappointment. So we're hopefully still going to be able to go down into South Australia from Northern Territory and then get home across the Nullarbor. What all this means, I suppose, and the announcement is that instead of being home in December, I expect we'll be home 2 or 3 months earlier. We should probably be home about the middle of October instead, by cutting out that Queensland leg. We could stay in Northern Territory for longer, we could stay in South Australia for longer, but I think there's too many uncertainties with COVID. I think we just want to play it safe and get home as soon as we can, really. So that's the announcement. We're going to be back in October, and we're not going to do Queensland. There's not much of interest on this leg. We stayed at a roadside free camp. There was an interesting, rather quirky pub at Daily Waters though. Alright, so having said that we're not going to Queensland, we actually are. Back in the days when we were still going to Queensland and to Cairns and doing all that lot, I ordered some camera bits and pieces, and I got them to be delivered to the post office in Julia Creek. When I ordered them, I worked out how long they were going to take to be delivered. I worked out where we would be following our itinerary, and Julia Creek was the answer. So I got these things sent there. So they're still being sent there. We've decided not to go, but we still need to go to Julia Creek, which is only a day's drive into Queensland. So we are still going to cross the border. We're going to go to a place called Cloncurry. We also need a new windscreen, so we've arranged for that to be done in Mount Isa. We got a bit of a chip, which just went, it was repaired, but then it just went mental. I'll show you the size of the crack. Okay, so the crack in the windscreen, I'll give you a close-up. So yeah, I think you can see that. It basically went from 2 inches to 2 foot in an afternoon. We left the car out in the sun. The windscreen got hot, the inside wasn't so hot, the windscreen expanded, or tried to, the crack went with it. So yeah, we suddenly had a 2 foot crack in the windscreen. Immediately put super glue in it, did the old super glue trick. But the important thing was when we parked, when you're driving along, the airflow keeps the windscreen cool. But when we parked, it was important to keep it out of the sun. So we've got one of those, you know, windscreen protector things that keeps your car cool that goes on the inside. We've been putting that on the outside, and we've also been putting a picnic blanket over the top as well, and it's worked to keep it cool. So we've had it over a week now with this crack, and it's not got any worse. So the super glue's done the trick. So yeah, super glue in your crack. There you go. So we need a new windscreen, so we've arranged that to be done in Mount Isa, which is near Cloncurry, which is where we'll stay, which is near Julia Creek, which is where we need to go to pick up these things. So basically, yeah, we're going in for a few days just to pick up the stuff, get the repairs done, turn around and come back. Cloncurry campsite, nice big bays, bit of grass around, which is always welcome. Drive-through bay in this case, unless you're an expert at reversing caravans, you'll appreciate a drive-through bay. Yeah, quite big, nice and flat, not bad at all. Okay, coffee and cake.
Yep.
Well, I'm struggling to remember when we last had a really good cup of coffee.
That's because we haven't.
Excellent coffees in Western Australia, the occasional decent coffee in Northern Territory, and yeah, we haven't had a good one in Queensland. So for this fortnight, we started off in Territory Manor in Mataranka, and we had a coffee in their little cafe bar area. Then we went to Mataranka Homestead.
Yeah.
That was a machine with paper cups. Then we travelled, we were on the road for about 3 days, we didn't really stop anywhere. There was nowhere to have coffee until we got to Mount Isa, and then we went to the Buffs Club in Mount Isa. Cloncurry, we went to the Red Door. There's a sign as you're going into Cloncurry saying worth looking for, because it's on a bit of a back road. Worth looking for, the Red Door. It's not worth looking for, don't bother. And then there was what's it called, there
was the bakery.
Come to the table.
Oh yeah, come to the table.
Come to the table in Cloncurry. And then there was the bakery in Julia Creek. Now when we do coffee and cake, maybe we should just award to the best place that we've had coffee, but they're all crap, and as the saying goes, you can't polish a turd. So we're not going to give it to any of those places. None of them deserve coffee and cake, even though maybe Territory Manor was the best. I think that was the best of a bad lot. So we're not going to award coffee and cake to any of those places. We are going to give it to...
We're going to give it to our red flask. So yeah, basically the coffee that we make ourselves as we're travelling. We've got an awesome red thermos flask which genuinely does keep water hot for 24 hours.
I'll show you now.
When we started out travelling, we stopped at the side of the road, and there was all the excitement of kind of like, yeah, we can boil up a kettle because we've got gas, and this is awesome. But then really kind of the reality of it is that you take 10 minutes to actually boil the kettle, and when you're traveling you just want to get on. So we decided we were going to do that while we have breakfast, boil the kettle and fill the flask. So that's what we do. We pull up at the side of the road, car park or whatever, and we just make our own coffee using the flask. And the other benefit of that is that there's enough water left over to wash the dishes after dinner as well. So it's a bit of a win.
It's just Moccona
Just
instant
just
coffee.
ordinary Moccona coffee. It's nothing special.
But it's better than all the ones we've had that we've paid
It
for.
is.
You know, you're paying $5 a coffee,
Yeah.
and they're pretty average. So yeah, now we're quite happy with our little red flask and our own instant coffee when we're travelling. So yeah, the flask is the winner this fortnight.
Yeah.
Case strip. Case strip. If you can give a key, please come over to the secretary for the case strip.